Guys, what's the crack? Happy Thursday from beautiful Rush Beach today. We were just out swimming there about an hour ago, and it was feckin' freezing, I'll be honest with you. It was hardcore. But anyway, I wanted to chat to you a little bit about how I manage investing risks. I'm just on my way out to the gym, strolling up here, and thought we'd just fire it out, give you a little bit of content. Remember, these videos are done just while I'm walking. Don't think everything I say is absolute gospel. I am human, sometimes I stumble, I have no notebook in front of me, I'm just sort of waffling off the cuff, and some people get a lot of value from it and say that they're learning lots, and other people have their criticisms, and that's fine, we're all entitled to do that. But I just say, go easy, don't take anything here that you hear as financial advice, and just have the crack at me. So risk is a part of investing. If there's no risk in an investment, there's no alpha, there's no opportunity, there's no ability to make money. So you need to be okay with risk, you need to be comfortable with risk. I enjoy risk. In my personal life, any of you guys who follow me on my Instagram, my Twitter, anything like that, you'll see that I do a lot of risky sports, what other people consider risky. Like surfing and free diving and mountain biking and motocross and riding motorbikes on circuits and whatever. That sort of stuff. The reason I'm still alive is because I believe I'm a good risk manager. I understand that risk is necessary to enjoy life, and risk management is necessary to not die while partaking in risk. Okay? So risk brings me joy in my personal life, and in my financial life, risk brings me success. It brings me more freedom. It helps me make more money. Okay? Now I'll give you a little example of that. By their nature, the cryptocurrency market are deemed riskier than, let's say, a traditional bond. Much more risky. Okay? However, traditional bonds for the last 10 years haven't even been beating inflation. So you've basically been losing money. So it's low risk, but you're not making any money. What's the point? Whereas in the last 10 years, people who invested into crypto and Bitcoin markets have retired themselves in a couple of short years. So, there's risk and there's reward. And if you're able to balance the risk and manage the risk, you can have very large rewards. Okay, so that's why I think risk is necessary, and learning to manage risk is where the skill is, not trying to avoid risk. Trying to avoid risk will keep you stuck and stagnant, and it won't help your financial health. Because we take risk either way. By leaving your money in the bank, you're taking risk. Alright, what's the risk there? Well, the risk is that inflation is destroying it. You're losing your money by doing nothing. Okay, you've got a risk-free premium there, I think. If inflation is taking 10% a year, you can literally take 10% of your money and buy the lotto ticket, because you're losing it anyway, it's gone. So you're obligated to take a risk with that money. It's foolish not to. The maths just tell you that's what you should do. So if you do nothing, you're still taking risk. You think you're not, but you are. At least when you're taking the risk, you get to control the risk. And that's the beauty of investing. What I'm putting together, and I'm just going to keep this on crypto, but as most investors, you want to be diversified. So I'm not all in on crypto or Bitcoin. Some people are, and that's fine. And if it works out, well, they will have better returns than me. But I like to sleep at night. I've been on most steps of the financial ladder, from financial ruin, where I had nothing and I lived in a caravan, and I relied on the government to bail me out and give me the dole every week just so I could buy food and buy a gas bottle to heat the caravan every couple of weeks. I don't want to go back there, so that's why I like to hedge myself and diversify myself and invest into other asset classes. And most people will do that. When you have nothing to lose, then you can take more risk. When I was at the bottom of the financial ladder, I could take more risk because I had nothing to lose. With with a crypto portfolio, how I constructed is, I break it down into sort of 4 main sections. I have a Bitcoin element, I have an Ethereum element, I have a stablecoin element, and I have an altcoin element. I don't have an NFT element, although I did consider that, but I'm glad I didn't add that into it, because most of that stuff has crashed so bad. So I've those 4 elements. How I construct the portfolio is I use percentages to decide how much percent I'm going to have in Bitcoin, how much percent I'm going to have in Ethereum, how much percent I'm going to have in an altcoin basket, which will just break up into a basket of them, and how much am I going to have in a stablecoin. And that's allowing me to manage risk. Obviously, the least risky thing is Bitcoin. Bitcoin dictates everything in our space. If Bitcoin goes up, everything goes up. Bitcoin goes down, everything goes down. When Bitcoin halves and goes on a parabolic price run, it drags everything up with it. Why? Bitcoin's become twice as scarce, so it's more valuable, but everything else just rallies because people are speculating. They haven't really changed fundamentally. That's why you got to understand that, so you're not fooled by the price action and you're more focused on the long-term fundamentals. So Bitcoin's the least risky thing in my investment basket that I can hold in the crypto asset space. And an altcoin is the highest risk thing. And altcoin has the ability to make me more wealth faster, but it's also got the ability to destroy a portion of wealth much faster. So when I'm putting together the bucket, okay, you guys know, primarily I just talk about Bitcoin, because I think that's the biggest hurdle that people have to try and understand. And it's the least risky thing that people own, or can own in the space. You know, anyone who holds Bitcoin for 4 years increases their purchasing power or makes money. You can't say that about any other crypto asset, not one of them. So you know, that really separates Bitcoin. That's why, because I mostly teach beginners, I try and send them down the Bitcoin rabbit hole. So when I'm putting together my portfolio, the amount that I'm allocating to an altcoin, it could be a tenth of a percent. Maximum, it's going to be like 1%. But that's the difference, because a lot of beginner investors, they don't understand how to manage risk. They've got like 50% of their portfolio in 2 altcoins. You know, it's insanity. You're coming into a risky asset class, and then you're looking for the most risk you can get. You like, just buy a lotto ticket, you know, because you're not going to win that either. So you got to understand the risk and how to manage the risk, and where you're putting your money, the different risks that you have. And you also have to be prepared that if things go wrong, you don't blow up. Guys, if you liked the video, do me a favour, do your daily exercise, give the like button a nice little press, ignore the scammers in the comments if they're there, and throw in a comment if you enjoy the ramblings. My fingers are getting cold now, so I'm going to have to wrap up this video. I need to get them back in the pocket. So when you're putting your portfolio together, you got to put it together in a way that you can't get blown up. Okay, there's a couple of ways you can get blown up. One is if you have leverage, if you take out debt. You know, if you're greedy. And whenever I'm consulting with people and we're considering those options, in some instances it is the correct option, but mostly it's not the correct option. Okay, because of the volatility in our space, you've got to be able to ride it out. You've got to be able to, you know, allow your portfolio to take a dive, and it might take a dive for 3 years in a worst case scenario. Could be longer. You've got to be able to survive that. Okay, once you're not moved out of your position, once you can hold your assets, and you don't have to sell your assets at the wrong time. Okay, so that's one thing. Another thing is counterparty risk. Okay, and counterparty risk just means you're not holding your assets. Okay, now there's pros and cons to that. To take on counterparty risk, let's just rewind and go back to 2020, 2021. We have to, and we still even have the likes of Nexo and some other platforms that offer you yield. So let's say you could park your Bitcoin with them and they're going to pay a yield on it for the privilege. Now, that sounds pretty good. It's a good idea. Like, if I have an asset, you know, similar to having a physical property, you rent it out, you get a yield. The tenants pay your rent. Well, if you have a Bitcoin or an Ethereum, you have the collateral, you have the asset. Why not rent it out and get some leverage off it? So in theory, it's a sound thesis and it works. In practice, and in hindsight, we have 20/20 vision. In hindsight, these products just weren't managed correctly. The custodians, the third parties, took on too much risk. They deviated from their original plan of just peer-to-peer lending, you know, which is safe and easy to manage. And, you know, they sort of started operating like a hedge fund, like an investment fund. So they're taking on far more risk, and then we've seen loads of them implode and blow up. Now, if you weren't managing risk correctly, you'd have took all your Bitcoin, or whatever you had, all your collateral, and you'd have put it on one of these yield-generating platforms. And that's not managing risk, because that's not taking into account. If that goes down, you lose your whole portfolio, you're wiped out, you got to start again. So it's the same as taking leverage, you're wiped out, you got to start again. You never want to put your investment in a position where that can happen. You always want to have your investment in a position, well, that can blow up in my face, but it won't ruin me, I still have this. So that's why you break it up into different buckets and different allocations. Okay, and even in the Bitcoin element that you hold, you know, you'll hold it in different places. You might hold some in self-custody, just on a hardware wallet. You might hold some in a multi-sig, in case something happens to hardware wallet. Multi-sig just means you can't even access it. Okay, you might hold some in a time lock. Okay, so it takes a week's notice to get it. You might hold some with a broker, just in case you get amnesia and forget everything you've done and can't get access to your Bitcoin. Well, luckily you've got some with a custodian who is segregated. You might hold some with a counterparty that's able to generate you interest, so you're taking risk with that portion of your capital. Okay, but the important point is, it's not all in one place. It's not all based on one eventuality. Your risk is spread out so that you can be wrong, because we're all human. We all make mistakes. I've made loads of mistakes investing. Okay, but the mistake you don't want to make is to start again, to go back to zero, to have to start fresh. That's why when you're trying to do your investments, you're trying to base it that, what if I'm wrong? What if this blows up in my face? Do I survive it? And that's what all my decisions are always. I'm not going back to that caravan. What decisions do I need to make today to make sure that doesn't happen? Okay, and that's not to say I don't take risk with collateral. I do, and in the future I will, but it'll be managed risk. It's a percentage that you're prepared to put at risk, you know, and that can be why you own an altcoin. That's why you own a stable coin and generate yield on it. It's a percentage that you put at risk, but you're just trying to manage that risk. Guys, I hope you got a little bit of value out of that, and it helps you make your decisions and thought-provoking. If you have any questions, stick them in, and if you're catching this on recording, drop a little like in there so I know who's paying attention in the bear market, because the people who pay attention in the bear market, these are the people in the next bull market. Everyone will be saying, you know, you got lucky, but you didn't get lucky. You studied, you done the work, you put the time into it, while everyone else was, whatever they were doing, entertaining themselves on TikTok or some other nonsense. Have a super day, guys. Dinny out.